Hi guys, I'm Adam Wilborn from WhatCulture.
And I'm the inspirational Andy Murray from WhatCulture. And remember, a great place to store inspirational quotes is up your bum.
Coming up, a man who makes bread, he's called a baker. But I've got some big news for you about Undertaker.
This guy looks like the boy from Weezer, and Scott Dawson is quite the teaser. You don't look like that guy at all.
As my favourite football team after my main football team sings, I'm forever blowing bubbles, but a big WWE star is in a lot of troubles.
Jesus, the job AEW have done with their women's division so far has been quite pish. But if you're waiting for a title, you're about to get your wish.
My favourite finisher, it's the gore. I've got some bad news for you about a wrestling promotion that is no more. This is the news.
And today, unfortunately, as you will know if you've been paying any attention to social media, media outlets, anything over the past 12 or so hours, we have to start on a very, very sad note. We have to report the passing of wrestling legend Harley Race at 76 years old after quite the battle with lung cancer. According to Dave Meltzer on the Wrestling Observer Figure 4 online website, things took a turn for the worse recently ahead of a scheduled appearance for Harley at a wrestling convention in Knoxville, and he passed away yesterday. So the first I saw of this actually was Dustin Rhodes, of all people, who tweeted out. It quickly spread, it was confirmed. And it's obviously just a very sad situation for a guy who in his prime was considered one of the, if not the preeminent in-ring performer in the world. So a little bit of background on Mr. Race. He kind of shot to prominence in the early 70s. He was an 8-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion. His first brief reign in 1973 was when he kind of became this like global star in the sport. He wrestled everywhere, all around the world, all across various different continents. He battled at every big name you can think of from that era. The Funks, Ric Flair, Jumbo Tsuruta over in Japan. Legendary career, one of the most influential wrestlers of all time, particularly on guys like Triple H, who adapted much of Harley's signature in-ring offense as his own. Now, given that I was born in 1987 and I've done my homework to a certain degree, but I can't certainly call myself an expert on his matches. I haven't seen dozens and dozens of his in-ring classics. I've seen the most important ones, of course, but for me, the thing that always radiated most with Harley was his aura and his presence. He just felt like the hardest bastard in the room. And he comes from that era, of course. He comes from a time when wrestlers looked like they would break your neck if you spilled their pint down the pub. He's just a hard ass-kicking dude with a bruising approach to professional wrestling, invented the diving headbutt among other innovations. I mean, I can list off some of his honors here. Obviously, he was an 8-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion, and he is in the WWE, the NWA, the Observer, the Pro Wrestling, and the Fez/Tragos Hall of Fames. He retired in 1990. He was a manager in WCW, working with Lex Luger and Vader, among others. Yeah, just a really inspirational guy. A sad, sad day. I do have one really fun Harley Race story to kind of lighten the tone a little bit. The internet is full of these. He was quite the character here. But this comes via Andrew Rich on Twitter, who says that Harley Race would often invite wrestlers to his house for barbecues. One time, Owen Hart pulled a rib where he spiked Harley's famous chili with 3 bottles of really intense hot sauce. Imagine that was rather unpleasant on the old Never regions. Harley responded at the following Raw by meeting Owen backstage and tasering him. So Harley Race was not a guy to be messed with.
No, I think you just kind of summed it all up there. And I also saw a great tweet from Lance Storm who said something along the lines of, the word legend is thrown around quite a lot in this business, but Harley Race was a true legend. He will be sorely missed, and of course, all of our thoughts go out to Harley Race's friends and family at this difficult time. Right, moving on, an update for you now on the state of The Undertaker's future. It's been reported by Dave Meltzer in this week's Wrestling Observer that he has apparently been given a contract in the WWE for life. This also means he is not allowed to do any non-WWE appearances, but it seems that, I mean, it was kind of obvious that they were trying to lock him down to being a sole WWE contractor after all the shenanigans about StarCast and all that stuff, and that appears to have been sorted out between the two parties.
Good stuff. Taker's going to be there pretty much forever. I guess him like flirting with StarCast and being announced as a guest there kind of put the willies up Vince in a major way. Obviously, he signed that new deal a few months ago. Not a huge surprise by this, of course. He's been with WWE since 1990. He's coming up on 30 years with the company, which is absurd. Good for him. Good for The Undertaker. He's probably secured his financial future forever. He's probably found himself a deal that'll make him more money than any outside appearances ever could have. And, you know, like, it's easy to be cynical about The Undertaker's in-ring career and slag off his in-ring output even when it's deserved it, but that Extreme Rules tag match was bloody awesome, and I kind of want to see him work again.
I was going to ask, with the agreement of this contract, do you think that'll have any bearing on if and when The Undertaker will retire?
I think he'll still go whenever the hell he wants. Like, I think his outside appearances for me would have probably just been conventions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I can't see like him wrestling Kenny Omega or anything like that. But no, I don't think it'll have a big impact. I think The Undertaker will step away when he's good and ready and he's decided he's had enough. And I think he's very much his own man.
Speculation will roll on and on. Will it be next year's WrestleMania? Will it be the 30-year anniversary when he's at Survivor Series next year? Who knows? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below.
We're going to talk about Scott Dawson. That cheeky little scamp. Obviously, the Revival got up to all kinds of shenanigans earlier this year. Trying to quit while they're still in their gear. Like, doing all kinds of mad protests on social media, having FTR on the back of their bums. Dash Wilder obviously had his contract extended by 2 months as a result of WWE. Despite their deals are set to expire next year. I think it's April and June. But Big Scott's been being a scamp on Twitter again. Basically, somebody, Twitter user SH6867, tweeted a gif of that lovely DDT that Dash Wilder did on Raw, where he flew through the ropes, landed on Luke Gallows, kind of springboarded, twisted around the barricade, drilled him into the ground. Little compliment there. Scott Dawson quote tweets it saying, "Arn taught us well. See you soon. AA." And of course, Arn Anderson left his long-held position as a WWE producer/road agent earlier this year amidst a storm of controversy. He's been linked with AEW. He hasn't signed with them, though he said he'd be honoured to go there. So this is kind of like the Revival stirring the pot again, getting themselves spoken about and saying, hey, we might leave. So
yeah, more and more speculation about this as that date, as you mentioned there, draws closer and closer. I sense that I was going to say the subtle hints are going to get less subtle, but they're not subtle at all, are they?
They're really not.
Look, I would love to see the Revival remain in WWE and just be pushed to the absolute hilt. I do think they've been one of the most mishandled acts since moving up to the main roster, but it strikes me that they're just running out the clock now. Yeah,
they're just kind of biding their time and waiting things down. You know, recent months have been all right for them. They've been Raw Tag Team Champions, they're 2-time Raw Tag Team Champions. They've had a handful of pretty decent matches, but they're obviously not in the same position as they were in NXT. They're obviously not having the same opportunity to go out and have banger matches like the ones they had with American Alpha and DIY back in the day. It's a shame for them. They feel like stifled artists. I think they'd be better off leaving. I don't think, with all due respect to them, I think they're one of the best tag teams in the world, but I don't think WWE would miss them that much because they don't really use them to their full extent. I think it'd be best for everyone involved, and it's a real shame that WWE made that petty move of extending Dash's contract by another couple of months.
Not ideal, that, but I sense that it might be exciting especially if you're a fan of AEW. Like, obviously they're going to launch on TV in October, and you mentioned April and June, which is going to take us into effectively early to late summer for one of them, and then even later for the other, for Scott Dawson. In terms of giving AEW a shot in the arm, as sort of, after the initial excitement of Bucks, Lucha Brothers, etc., that might be really good for something like AEW, for them to come in and suddenly start running roughshod over that division.
It'd be a nice little boost, particularly if ratings kind of taper off as we expected. By the way, one thing we do have to do, I think we have to go back on our ratings predictions, brothers. The other day, myself and Alan Wilbur made some bold ratings predictions for the first episode of AEW TV. I said 2.8, I think you said 3 million.
3.
So basically every TV insider in the entire industry is predicting 500,000. So, should we...
In fact, I'm not going to change my prediction. I'm going to double it. 6 million. Make it happen.
Okay, I'll go with 12. Cool.
Right, let's move on, because someone else in WWE has been getting into trouble, and that man is the bro himself, Matt Riddle. He tweeted an image of Goldberg versus Dolph Ziggler at SummerSlam, which we reported yesterday is probably happening, as reported in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, but isn't official anywhere yet. Matt Riddle tweeted, make it a triple threat, bro. It's what the people want. And a WWE insider responded, quote tweeting him, saying, Do you want to get into trouble? Because this is how you get in trouble.
Oh dear, Matt Riddle. I mean, this was kind of suspected when he was doing all those videos and stuff during Super Showdown when Goldberg and The Undertaker had that horrendous match. Obviously, Goldberg got concussed. That's why it was horrendous.
What a knee bar, bro.
Yeah, it was. Matt Riddle had a great time watching that show. But he has a history of doing stuff like this. His time in the UFC was full of confrontations with Dana White, arguments, public blow-ups and stuff. Not that that's any surprise given that it's Dana White. But Matt Riddle gets himself into trouble. It's what he's done his whole career. So I'm not hugely surprised by this. Either way, I kind of hope that, I don't know, ideally that would be a Photoshop, but it's probably real.
100% real, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't care. Like, I'm not saying that I don't care what any wrestler does on Twitter. If you say something offensive or rude or anything like that, then yes, there should be repercussions. But just tweeting out stuff you're not supposed to, you should not be punished on TV for. He is one of the best wrestlers in the world, or in NXT at the very least right now for me. He should have all the belts. He needs to be on the main roster yesterday. Say what he likes on Twitter. Just please don't punish him for this, because he's just brilliant.
It's too good, isn't he?
Yeah.
Let's move on to AEW. Let's pivot over. They have announced that their women's champion, their first ever women's world champion, will be crowned on their first episode of TV, which of course goes down on TNT on the 2nd of October, Wednesday the 2nd of October. So that's pretty cool. We don't even know the name of the show yet, but already we've got Cody versus Sammy Guevara. We've got the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho and two random dudes. And we've got the first ever women's champion. This story was broken by Sports Illustrated, and it has a quote here from Brandi Rhodes, who says the following: "For many female wrestlers, the opportunity to fight for a title represents the crowning achievement of their careers. The AEW Women's Championship will be the cornerstone of the women's division. The championship will be treated with the utmost respect and prestige. We hope to inspire future female wrestlers to dream of holding such a meaningful title." And there's no word on how they'll determine which wrestlers will fight for the belts, but they're certainly not short of choice. Britt Baker, Kylie Rae, Nyla Rose, Awesome Kong, Yuka Sakazaki, the other Joshi wrestlers they brought in, Ali, Leva Bates, plenty of choice. Brandi Rhodes, I guess. Yeah, this is good news.
Put it on Britt Baker. It's really easy.
Yeah, it's pretty
Put it on Britt Baker.
Brother.
But yeah, that is fantastic news, and that first episode of TV is shaping up to be fantastic.
It's a can't miss show for me. It's one of the most important wrestling shows of the year. Has to go right.
Let's move on to our final news story of the day, and some more sad news to bring you now, unfortunately, about our very own sort of, what would you call it? Sister wrestling promotion, I suppose. Promotion. Defiant Wrestling, formerly known, of course, as WCPW. It was tweeted out through Defiant Wrestling's Twitter channel last night. It's been an absolute incredible journey over the past 3 years, but it is with our heavy heart that we must today announce that the journey must come to an end. To each and every one of you who worked on a show, attended a show, or watched a show, thank you. I had the fantastic opportunity to work in WCPW and Defiant. It was an absolute joy to be a part of. It's brought amazing wrestling memories, hopefully, to a lot of English wrestling fans, and it'll be sorely missed for me.
Yeah, absolutely. It was always a fun time. I didn't work for with the promotion, but I certainly attended my fair share of events. Got to see some really great stuff, highlighted, I think, by PAX Newcastle Homecoming this year. It's a shame. It's another promotion down on the UK indie scene, but I had a great time always at Defiant shows and so forth. And the World Cup was really awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Kushida Ospreay final was amazing. We had Ospreay, Rey Mysterio. Go on the YouTube channel and go and watch some of the old matches, because they're absolutely
First
phenomenal.
promotion to book Ospreay Mysterio, I think.
And if you're a fan of Defiant Wrestling or WCPW, myself, Adam Cleary and Phil Chambers will be doing a podcast later on today, sharing some of our favourite memories. So let us know yours, and make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from, for that podcast, another daily wrestling podcast. Right, let's move on to your Twitter questions at WhatCulture WWE if you want to get in touch. Rusty Glusing gives us our first question today. They say, do you believe that if the brand split is going to stay, will they actually stick to it, and will they do brand-specific pay-per-views again?
I hope they do. Interesting. I hope they do stick to it, because it's shows run by two completely separate people writing independently of each other in Bischoff and Heyman, so they kind of have to, and that strengthens my belief that they will. As far as brand-specific pay-per-views go, I think that's tricky to tell. Obviously, they have their pluses and minuses. If you have brand specific, you're not as overexposed. You only have a big match every 2 months rather than every single month. It has that advantage, but at the same time, you end up, the shows are a little bit thinner and so forth. So personally, I think I kind of like the way things are just now.
Yeah, I've got mixed emotions. With brand-specific pay-per-views did allow a lot more people to get on the card and be showcased, but like you say, they came thick and fast. There was a period where it seemed like there was one every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I'd say like you say, yes, keep them separate, but bring them together for unified pay-per-views, because I just think if you are going to stick to the current pay-per-view schedule, a lot of stories are going to wear very thin if you have to wait 2 months for each sort of feud to run out.
Absolutely.
So I think stick as they are. Right, Alexander Hughes gives us our second question today. He says, after your podcast yesterday on WWE commentary, another reason to subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling, he says, what would be your fantasy 3-man booth using any currently active commentators?
Oh my goodness, Excalibur, Kevin Kelly, New Japan English commentator.
You've got 2 of his 3 suggestions here.
Okay, the other one's Don Callis.
Honourable mention for him.
Oh, nice.
He said Chris Charlesworth.
Chris Charlton.
Charlesworth, he's written Charlesworth.
All good, yeah, I love Chris Charlton. He's really good at explaining like context.
I don't know who mine would be. I love Mauro Ranallo and Nigel McGuinness. I think they work fantastically well together. And then I'm sort of cheating, but I talked about this on the podcast yesterday. I always feel like a third person, a Percy Watson or a Byron Saxton or whatever, just feels like a third wheel.
Yeah.
So I'd have a current wrestler who is injured or not wrestling at the moment. But if I can just pick anyone, I'd have, Mauro Ranallo, Nigel McGuinness, and Kevin Owens. Because I think they just, certain people when they put wrestlers on commentary, Kevin Owens and like Alexa Bliss always
Daniel Bryan
knock out of the park. Yes, Daniel Bryan, yeah. Right, Chico Stick with our final question of today. He says, with the WWE roster pretty full at the moment, do you see any NXT call-ups after SummerSlam?
Yeah, because they're mental and they don't know what they're doing.
Just keep cramming them in.
But at the same time, there are people in NXT who are ready to go up. I think Shayna Baszler is probably overdue. Undisputed Era could easily go up, but I think they have plans for them down there. Yeah, I do think we'll see some. Do I think they should do it? Perhaps not.
I think you're right. I think in terms of the men's division, you don't need any call-ups in the interim now, between now and let's just say Survivor Series. But Shayna Baszler would add a much-needed excitement to the women's division for me.
Badassery as well.
Right, let's move on to today's and finally. Do you want to go first?
I'll let you go first.
Okay. It's very simple. A little tweet sent out by Renee Michelle, of course, Drake Maverick's wife, just killing the game on Twitter. Of course, Drake Maverick is angry that Maria Kanellis Bennett is the first ever pregnant 24/7 champion. He tweeted yesterday, I have no shame, no remorse, no fear. I will pin a pregnant woman to become 24/7 champion. Yes, I have tweeted that with the usual wanted image, and if you have any information, send it to Drake Maverick. Renee Michelle quote tweeted it. She's doing phenomenal work on TV and on Twitter now. Oh, so you'll get on top of a pregnant woman for 3 seconds, but not your wife. Loving your work, Renee. Loving it.
She's really good. She's a really good example of getting a tiny opportunity and making the absolute most of it by smashing it out of the park.
See the thing where she said, my husband's obsessed with the 24/7 championship, so I wore green and he still didn't notice me.
Jesus Christ. Good old rock star. Good old Renee Michelle as well. This is really good stuff.
Yeah, fantastic work.
Speaking of good stuff.
Go on.
Gangrel yesterday.
Oh, how many tweets did you get about that?
About 5 million. Gangrel doing bits all across the internet. Of course, my man, he was at the Performance Centre doing a guest coaching spot, presumably teaching people how to like suck blood and like do the thing with a cup when he spits it and comes out the floor. He's great. I love him. He's so cool. And thank you for everyone who pointed that out to me. By like midnight, I was like, just stop. But there was another thing with Gangrel as well. Yesterday, Game Changer Wrestling, the geniuses who bring you shows like Joey Janela's Spring Break, they did a backyard wrestling show, a legitimate backyard wrestling show on pay-per-view the other month. They have booked, get this, the dream match, Gangrel versus Orange Cassidy.
What? Yes!
It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, and I will definitely be paying attention to that.
Can we go?
Yes.
I really want to go and see that.
Boss, can we?
If we can't go, say no. Well, looks like we're going.
Quality.
Oh my God, that is going to be spectacular. Right.
Dream match, baby.
Let us know your thoughts on that and all of today's news stories in the comments section below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And send us Twitter questions at WhatCulture WWE. Whilst you're here, follow both of us. You can follow him at
Andy H. Murray. The H stands for Headbanger Thrasher.
You can follow me at Adam Wilwood. You can follow us all, as I said, at WhatCulture WWE. Make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling for daily wrestling podcasts in either iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts from. My thanks to Andy Murray. Thank you for watching. We will see you soon.
God, imagine what it's going to be like for Simon Miller when Repo Man comes back.